Welcome. This is Equine Living in the Bluegrass. It's our first ever podcast. I'm here today with Thomas Gaines from KBC Horse Supply. He'll be joining us shortly. But first, I want to tell you a little bit about Equine Living in the Bluegrass. It's a new magazine that's going to be coming out this summer that we're really excited about. It's going to profile the people and the stories and the businesses in Kentucky's unique horse community. I think it's going to be something that's really going to bring this community together and highlight some of the great people we have. This podcast is just going to be a partner with the magazine to further extend the reach of the magazine to help Kentucky's horse community. As I mentioned, joining me today is Thomas Gaines from KBC. Welcome, Thomas.
Hi, John. How you doing?
Thank you for being my guinea pig today on the first ever podcast for Equine Living in the Bluegrass. I certainly am glad you guys are partnering with me. I think this is going to be a great thing for Central Kentucky's horse community. Tell me a little bit about yourself, first and foremost.
Well, thanks, John. You know, I've been involved in the thoroughbred breeding and racing industry since I was a little boy. My father founded Gainesway Farm in Lexington, Kentucky, and grew up there on the farm around the horses. A lot of stallions that he brought syndicated, stood at stud in Lexington, and worked, in the summers, grooming yearlings and bringing them to the Keeneland sale. So it was really a childhood steeped in horses. And, it's kind of a unique experience because most kids, your parents or father or mother, both, or either go off to work somewhere and you're vaguely aware of it. But, when your father's business is also the place you live, you tend to get pretty, steeped and inculcated in everything that's going on around there. So it was really a great introduction to, thoroughbreds, horses in general, and, everything that goes along with them.
You've had the opportunities over the years, I'm sure, to get out of the industry and to maybe move elsewhere. What is it about horses and Kentucky and this culture that just kept you here?
It's there's something very welcoming and inviting. I think of all the places I went away for high school, I went away for college, I traveled after that. I think my dad was fond that there's an expression, I can't remember who we would attribute it to, or he would attribute it to, but something along the lines of a Kentuckian is always a person who's on his way back home. So there's just something special about the state, about the place, that the people here. Obviously, there's a tremendous culture around about horses. So anybody that has that bent, it's an ideal place. But there's something about it that just always felt like home, and it was important to me to come back, I think, at some point.
If you had to look back, what is your one favorite memory of being a part of the Kentucky horse community?
Well, gosh, there's a million, but I think if I had to pick one, when I was a boy, really even starting at the age of, I guess, 9 or 10, I would work every summer in the yearling division at the farm. And I was always assigned one yearling to groom, prep, get ready, take to the Keeneland sales. And this would have been a time in the early 1980s, late 70s, early 80s, when the thoroughbred horse business in Kentucky was exploding. You had Northern Dancer, who at the time was $1 million, no guarantee live full stud fee. This was going back to 79 or 80. Horse values, the thoroughbred international horse market was exploding, and Kentucky was the epicenter of all of it, both in America and in Europe. And my father had imported a really famous French stallion called Liefard, who was a son of Northern Dancer from France in the late 1970s. And I think we fast forward to sort of 84, I think it was, that summer, we had a colt that we were selling by Liefard, and he was. We had another very flashy Liefard colt who was ended up being a multi-million-dollar yearling. But I was sort of given, and he was kind of studdish and very. It would have been a lot for me to handle at the age of 13 or 14. So I was given sort of this placid, very calm lovely sort of smaller leaf forward colt to groom and get ready for the sales. And so I worked on him all summer, and he looked great. And right before he was sold, he wasn't well enough bred actually to go to Keeneland. So he was sold at Fasig-Tipton in their July sale. And right before he was sold, even a couple of weeks, he just really started blossoming. He just started walking great. He looked kind of, he went from being a very ordinary kind of mild-mannered type of horse to a horse that was really flashy. Well, he was bought, I think, for about $280,000, and he went on to become a horse called Dancing Brave, who was a European champion, Arc de Triomphe winner, the greatest horse in Europe for basically two years. And at the time, Leafard, the stallion, in partial thanks to Dancing Brave and another horse he had in America called Manila, I think it was the only stallion since who has led both the North American and European General Sires list in a single season. So it was just a huge thrill, looking back on it, to know that I spent a whole summer working with this colt who ended up being a very, very famous racehorse.
That had to be for a kid that age. First of all, the nerves. When that horse walked in the ring to be sold, that had to just be almost like an otherworldly experience.
Well, it was, but I was somewhat used to it. Again, it was looking back on it and having some perspective. Everything to do with the thoroughbred industry is very sort of specialized and esoteric. When you grow up in it, it seems kind of normal. It seems like it's just sort of what you do. It's what your family does, or you're involved in it in some capacity. Anybody coming in from the outside looks at it, like the strangest thing they've ever seen. But again, going to Keeneland, watching horses sell, bringing yearlings to market like that, was just what I did all summer long, and seemed like a very normal thing to me at the time, I think.
Yeah, I tell you, when I look around at some of the other horse industries around the country, I drive into Ocala, Florida, and I see, horse capital of the world, and same in Aiken, South Carolina, and I kind of snicker because this is the capital of the world. Would you agree with me?
Yeah. It's definitely sort of the central axis. I think everything else horse-wise is spinning around it in some way, shape, or form. And it's not just thoroughbred related. You can almost pick thanks to the horse park, which was another thing my dad had. My dad ended up really creating the whole idea for the horse park was something that he conceived of and made happen through the state legislature, but it's since evolved.
Well, that kind of brings us back to the magazine, because as you know, Equine Living in the Bluegrass is going to be really kind of focused on it's going to be focused on all breeds and all disciplines. I mean, that is something that is kind of unique, because we do have kind of silos around the different breeds and disciplines. I think you and I agree that the tighter and more united this community can be, the stronger it's going to be. Is that correct?
Well, it's so fascinating because there are so many, other people and other breeds and other disciplines. We're all united by the common bond we have with the horse. Whether you're breeding them to be a racehorse, or you're taking a retired racehorse and you're trying to, turn him into a polo pony or an eventing horse. We're all united by that thread that connects us, which is our, love for and interest in horses. And I personally just find it fascinating to learn about, people in completely other disciplines, how they do things, what they're up to, what they're getting their horses to do, how they're going about doing it, caring for the animals. I mean, there's so much to learn from each other. And I think that people find you might be very focused on their own individual discipline, but they find it fascinating to learn about the other people in the other areas and arenas.
Well, I think that's one of the things that's going to be exciting as we move forward, just that uniting of the disciplines. On to KBC real quickly. I mean, you guys are literally almost like the Amazon of the horse industry. You've got just about everything. Is there anything that's new this year that you've seen and you're like, man, that's just going to be something big?
That's a great question. I haven't seen any sort of unusually innovative product along those lines. we're very focused here at KBC on really, serving our customers. And to do that, we're constantly expanding our product line, our offering, our distribution points, our customer service, the amount of people we have out on the roads delivering and servicing the industry in every capacity. We've built a fabulous new retail store that the customers are absolutely loving. And so as far as an individual product, I haven't seen anything that stands out that fits that description, but there are a lot of good ones. That's for sure.
Well, I know, we're coming off of a very odd year in 2020 in the horse industry and in the world in general. I mean, are we bounced back? I mean, are you seeing a new energy? Is spring really here?
Well, absolutely. Yeah. I think, and even, we noticed even last year, we were very, not very affected at all as an industry, I feel. And I think all of these sort of do it yourself, any activity that you could do and especially that was outdoors, I think has been amplified and enhanced. You can't buy an RV camper. I mean, there's a 5-year waiting list for campers. There, bicycles, cycling, and horses. I think people kind of, refocused on things and activities, hobbies, interests that they could pursue at home. And horses are, one of the best ones you could ever have. I think people, really came on board and redoubled their enthusiasm.
Yeah, you don't get much more socially distanced than when you're with your horse on the track or on the trail or in the field.
No, absolutely not. And even if you're with other people, you're in pretty good shape as far as all of that goes. But it's a great way of life for everybody that's involved at any level. And I just think for a long time to come, there's going to be a lot of passion and interest around horses, and definitely in Central Kentucky.
Well, Thomas, thank you for being here with me on this first ever podcast for Equine Living in the Bluegrass. I think, as we go forward, we're going to really be able to build this into something special here for Kentucky and really, take an already strong industry and make it stronger. So thank you.
Well, thank you, John. We're so excited about the magazine and the opportunity to advertise in it, to be a part of it. It's going to be a really fantastic addition. It's something we don't have right now. It's going to fill a big void, I think. And I think it's going to be something that creates a lot of awareness and brings a lot of people together, again, over the common interest of the horse.
Well, I tell you, our goal is to get it to where just every horse owner in Central Kentucky has access to it. If you're watching this and you want to make sure you get on our mailing list, go to equinelivinginthebluegrass.com. There's a quick survey there about some of the things we're going to do with the magazine. And put your address in, and we'll make sure you get a copy when we come out this summer. Thank you for joining us, and I look forward to the next episode of Equine Living in the Bluegrass.